welcome to the Trucking Tower podcast. In this segment of Technology Expert Insights, I'm very excited to be joined today by David Wald, who is the CEO and co-founder at Aclaimant. How are you doing, David?
Doing great. Thanks for having me, Andy.
Thanks for coming on with me. You and I both kind of span this technology and VC area. We're going to be talking about your company today and your technology, which I find fascinating. Just to kick things off, where were you? What inspired you to do what you do today?
Yeah, so it's a very atypical story for VC. The actual founding of this company involves my current father-in-law, who at the time was my girlfriend's dad, you can imagine. So if you go back in time, I was a venture capitalist. I was doing technology stuff in like the early 2010s. My father-in-law was running a work comp insurance company, work comp insurance captive, and approached me with an idea for an app. And so whatever you do when your girlfriend's dad approaches you with an idea for a company is typically you say, no shot, which I did. And as soon as that happened, he wore me down. 6 months later, we decided to build an app together. A year later, I married his daughter. And now 7 years later, we have a 60-person company all together. And he never, ever lets me forget that the first thing I told him when he approached me with the idea for the business we have today was no.
So that's very interesting. That story is awesome. I love that. In this area of technology and VC as well, what are the top 2 or 3 mistakes to avoid based on what you've seen over the years?
Yeah, great question. And I think especially in the world of technology, we kind of talked about this a little bit, the expectations for growth, especially when you're venture funded, are pretty robust. And so the things to avoid are the things that actually will kill your growth, even though they sound like great ideas. So I think that the 2 or 3 things that I think always tend to come back to are, number one, at trying to do too much too early. Everybody thinks the way to get big is you do everything so you can sell everything and you get big, but you actually get big by doing one thing really well for a lot of people. And so I think focus is the most important thing. The second most important thing, as we've kind of gone over time, is not taking too much money, which is a really weird counterintuitive idea. But the reality is not every business can support a $1 billion investment. Not every business can support a $10 million investment. So when you're thinking about raising venture capital, you're hopping on a roller coaster, and you want to make sure that your company, the market you're in, the team you have, is built and able to actually ride the roller coaster you've chosen to hop on. And so I think, trying to make sure you can balance out how much money you're getting, how fast you're growing, and where your focus is are really going to be, I think, 2 of the biggest mistakes to go ahead and avoid, at least based on our lessons learned.
Okay. And on the flip side of that, what are some of the top 2 or 3 success secrets that you've seen that others can model from?
Yep. And again, I think there's a couple of flip examples there. So for us, I think we found success by solving a problem that nobody else even thought about. And for literally 5 years, everybody told us that we were wrong, there's no problem here. So I think that the first thing is to trust your instincts. If you know a space, if you believe in a space, it doesn't matter what everyone else says. I mean, we brought 50 years of experience in a space, knowing where the problems were. I mean, it took us 5 years to convince everyone else we were right. We never lost faith. We never gave up. And I think that's number one. The second thing is early on, you have to find people who are willing to run through a brick wall for you. We did a great job, I think, getting early talent. We got super lucky, but the people who came in as our entry-level associates and our first marketing person are now our directors and our vice presidents today. And kind of having a team that can go along the journey with you has been both rewarding and incredible, as a key foundation for our success. And the last thing is going deep with your early customers. I mean, for us, the first 2 customers we had, we literally took 3 or 4 years to work through and understand their pains and the problems and make sure that what we were doing wasn't just in our heads, but was in the market as well. And so I think the combination of trusting your instincts, building a good team, and going deep with your early customers are kind of some of those really early opportunities that really can help to build a solid foundation for kind of building a technology business.
Absolutely. And a common theme of people that I've interviewed, executives, best-selling authors, and so forth, is the people are so important. Getting really good talent and developing that talent into the next level. It sounds like you guys have done that and done a really good job with that. So I'm really totally agree with that. So what are you working on and how can we support you?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think at this point in time, our business is pretty robust. I think, as I mentioned, we raised our most recent round of financing in March of this year. Our biggest goal this year is really scale. And so we're looking for introductions and exposures to businesses that have risk management problems, that have claims and other issues. So, businesses north of $100 million in blue and gray collar spaces like construction, staffing, manufacturing, logistics, transportation, and trucking. Those are our target customers. If anybody knows anyone in those spaces, we'd love an introduction to Aclaimant.com.
Okay, very good. We have a lot of, obviously, a lot of people watch and listen to this in the supply chain and trucking industries. And so I'm sure you'll get some eyeballs on that. And I'm glad to do introductions as well. I do probably 4 or 5 referral introductions a week on average. And the same thing happens for me. I believe the network and networking are extremely important. So, I'm glad to network with you as well. So in coming onto the podcast, what would you say was your overall experience in booking coming onto the show?
No, I think it was great. Obviously, as we've gotten bigger, it's amazing to be able to have so many different cool people reach out and hear about us and say, "Oh, we'd love to have a conversation." And I think, in our research of you and your show and watching your videos, I think it's been great. It's a ton of fun. I love having conversations with people who are thinking about how the world is changing and what's going on next, and interviewing interesting people. It's a lot of fun to do all these.
Absolutely. Well, you make a great podcast guest, so keep it up.
Thanks,
There's this book by Max Cardone, I think it's called the 10X Rule. And one of his rules is get on at least 10 podcasts in a year, So I've done that myself, and it gets you a lot of coverage. And I'm just going to continue on with that. What would you say as a final word of advice for others out there?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you actually just hit on it about a minute ago. The reason that we're here today is because people who had no business helping us, who have kind of already made it, spent time to invest with us, either to help us build our product, build our team, think through problems, make introductions, and we've taken it upon ourselves to make sure we're doing the same thing. And I think as you're thinking about how you change the world, right, about how you build businesses from nothing that you can convince investors and companies to go ahead and get on board, it really comes down to, to community. And so I think, we're a big believer and appreciative of everyone who kind of reached out to us and kind of helped us along the way. And we encourage everyone else to do the same. It's kind of part of our mantra, is making sure we kind of pay it forward always, because that's kind of how we all can kind of grow and win together.
Absolutely. What is it? A rising tide lifts all boats. So
Exactly.
We should always be working to lift each other and the company up at the same time. I love that philosophy. Well, I really, again, appreciate you coming on, David. It's been really fun talking with you both here and offline.
Thanks, Andy.
As well. So that's going to do it for this edition of the Trucking Tower Podcast, Expert Insights, and we'll see you guys real soon.